Hey everybody, this is Brad from Johnson Small Engines, better known as the one-hand mechanic. If I can do it, you can too. Today we are working on a Craftsman 5.5 horsepower Tecumseh engine on it. This is a 24-inch path, and today I'm going to show you, in my opinion, how to install a Auger Drive Belt. Okay, so I have it up on the bench so you guys can see what I'm doing. You can do this on the ground. Get yourself some 6x6 blocks or 2 blocks that are at least 6 inches high so you can get underneath here. And that'll eliminate you from having to take this whole thing apart. You do have to go underneath the housing here. And for me, it's just easier. You guys can do what you want, but this is how I do it. So we're gonna go ahead and take off the belt cover in the front. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and this belt right here needs to be replaced. This is the auger belt. And just want to let you guys know, a lot of people say, oh, I replaced the auger belt, and when they test it, the auger keeps turning. There's 2 different reasons why that may happen. One of it is that it's not adjusted properly, it's over adjusted, so you don't want to have it too tight, but also 2, this is very important to this machine. This is actually a belt guide, and as you can see right here where it wore, is that this in it, it's fine as long as it doesn't wear through. If it wears through, you need a cover, but it is a belt guide right here, so you have to make sure you put your belt cover on before you run your machine, just to make sure the auger doesn't keep moving, because that is one thing. If you get it too tight of a belt, your auger will run when you turn on the machine. That's a safety problem. That is one thing that you shouldn't have when you put a new belt on, is if your auger spins when you turn the machine on, then you either have too tight of a belt adjustment or you forgot to put the guide cover back on again. So now we're going to get this off. I'm going to go underneath the machine, and I'm going to put this up in the air a little bit just so you guys can see better. So we're going to go ahead and take the transmission cover off. And these should be 10 millimeter or 3/8. Now, if you're looking to order parts for your machine, you should have a sticker somewhere on this plate. And this one is a Craftsman. It was made by MTD. I think MTD now is made by Stanley. But anyway, this is the MTD number is a 247.88355.0. And this guy gave me the belts, and they were incorrect because you have to make sure that you're using the right model, and you got to make sure that it's the right year. The other way you can look it up is through the MTD. If you look up through the Craftsman website at Sears Parts Direct, you're going to look up with this number 247. You can go to MTD and look up this number 31AS6BCE799, and that will give you, it's an MTD built machine product for Craftsman, and you can go to their website also and get the correct parts. It's got some oil on the bolt, so that means there's probably going to be a mess under here. Pull this down. And the reason why I said it's important to have 6x6 blocks is that when you're on the ground doing this, pulling this off, it'll come off real easy. There's little slots in here that actually, where the pan goes, and you have to put it back up into those slots and then push it up, because there's no bolts in the back there. You have to make sure you put it back together correctly, or your pan will drop down in the front there, because there's only 4 bolts holding these on. Okay, so underneath here, this is where the auger belt is in the front, okay? And there's a belt guide here that keeps the auger belt from coming off. It's very easy to take this off. Might actually be a 3/4 inch and then a 9/16. And you just have to loosen it, and it should slide out. Yeah, so it just slides out. Just to make sure, remember which way it goes back in again after you get the belt back on again. Just gonna leave that out for now. And then on the other side, which is really hard to see under here, but there's there's a brake that holds the belt in right here. And then when you engage your handle, that should move out of the way, like that. All right, so keep that in mind. We have to come around that too. So now we're gonna go back around to the front. Okay, so we have to take the belt off right here, and we're just gonna pull it around the front. It'll drop down into the center. There's a gap between the auger drive pulley and the self-propelled drive pulley. You can engage the drive pulley handle for the self-propelled drive. If you engage that handle, that's going to pull this bracket back. Now, I want to go ahead and engage the handle. I'll show you that the transmission drive pulley will move away. So we have more room down here to pull this belt out. We had to move around to the other side so I could show you this a little bit better, but basically you're trying to move the transmission drive pulley back so you can get the belt out between the auger pulley and the transmission drive pulley. You'll be able to see it much better when you're doing it yourself. Okay, so you can just barely see how that moves. Clamp down your handle on your self-propelled drive, which is up here. Clamp this down. It'll actually give us just enough room to get the belt in between here. So what I have to do is you have to pull the belt out and around as much as you can get it. Now we have the guide off the bottom, so this belt will come up to that point where that brake is. Okay, now that brake is stopping me from taking the belt all the way out. So if you can just use your one hand, push the pulley in like you're engaging the belt, it just allows you to get the belt out. So there you go. Now this is the MTD Cub Cadet. They're all made by the same, it's MTD. It doesn't matter if it's a cog belt or smooth belt, it works just the same. I think they thought that the cog belt would grab a little bit better, but found out that they actually wear quicker. As long as you're using the OEM belt, you're gonna get a good belt. You should be able to see that it does say MTD on it, and make sure you're using the model number off your machine to get the correct belt. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in. I'm gonna go ahead and put this down through it. And once you get the belt all the way down, all right, now we're gonna go back underneath. You have the belt down here. Right here is the belt brake, and it releases itself when you engage the handle to your auger. So you just have to push the belt onto it. Like the pulley's right here and you want to be in this pulley groove. So if you just push up on that brake with the belt, and actually you can put the belt on the other side here, put it on the outside, roll it around a little bit to get it started. Once you have it rolling around started, then you're just gonna push it into the brake, and then you just push it up, and it'll go right into the groove, and then it'll lock itself in, like so. Just make sure your belt is in the groove here. Go ahead while you're under here and put this on. That keeps the belt from falling out down here, and then we're gonna go ahead and tighten that up. All right, that's tight. Gonna go back up there. Okay, so now we're on the pulley down there, and you have to make sure that your belt comes around and lays on the pulley right here. Okay, and also make sure you're on the pulley over here, and you can just kind of bow this around. Now remember, the flat part of this belt has to go on the flat part of the pulley, and the belt goes on the inside. And the new belt is going to be tight. So sometimes you're going to have to roll the belt onto the engine by turning the engine over. And you can do that just by pulling your pull cord right here. And it'll help you push it right on, like so. So now the belt is on. And we're going to go ahead and come around to the back here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put the pan back under. And while we're under here, just make sure there was a lot of oil and everything under here, so I cleaned all this up. Make sure you check out, this is the disc that this rubber drive disc is what drives against this metal disc here. And I can see this guy had issues in the past, but his rubber disc is good. We cleaned off all the disc and make sure there's no oil on this, and make sure you just wipe off your rubber disc right here. No oil should be touching the rubber disc or this metal disc right here, because that's what drives the machine. And cleaned up the pan. Obviously, I always put my initials on it and the date that I did it. There is, like I said, two grooves. There's a groove here and there's a groove over here that it'll slide up into. And then you just slide it up underneath here. And I usually give it a tap like that. Make sure that everything lines up. There's only 4 bolts on this machine that holds this on. So it is important to get that bracket in the back up in this right position. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and take this down so we can adjust the auger tension. Okay, so off camera, I had to put the 2 inserts, and I'll put that up on the screen so you can see what I did. This is where you adjust your auger tension right here. And as you can see, whoever had this was really doing a lot of adjustments. This one on the bottom should be, it's all loose. It's stripped out. This one on the bottom should be a shoulder bolt. And these threads are stripped out. But we're taking this off. You can see the shoulder right there. So that's a shoulder bolt, and what it allows you to do is allows you to slide this up and down. And this one here is the one you tighten. You're not supposed to tighten this at all. So when you want to pull that, if you want to pull this out, you have a slot here that the bolts will go through. You just have to take this one out, and that one should stay there stationary. But somebody, this is like a 20-year-old machine, so somebody has been in here, and these are both stripped out. So we need to put new threads in here, and I think I'm going to put a rivet threaded type of bushing in there. But I put 2 inserts in here that actually have threads in them, and now they're 7/16, and everything I use is stainless steel because I know this is going to be out in the weather, and I use stainless steel anyway. So to adjust this, now you have to loosen up both of these because I'm not using one with a collar. You're going to loosen these up. Then you're going to be able to slide this up and down to get your adjustment. The way I like it, I'll just tighten up the one for now. I like the handle. Once you start feeling the belt tension, I want to show you at the spring near the belt. When that spring starts to get taut, when it just starts to spring and the belt tension starts to come on right there, that's where I'll go up to the handle to see where it's sitting at. That's where it's at. I'd like it to start having tension a little bit higher than that, so I'm going to tension this up a little bit. I just moved it down a little bit and tighten it up. I'm going to tighten the bottom one up. These are tight. Okay. So when it starts to start to get taut, this is where the handle is now. And that's where I like it. So now this is all spring tension. So that means that belt has all that tension on it right now, and that's where I like to have them. The way you check this is you have to put the cover on. Hold your handle down, so that'll make this taut so you can put your cover on easily. And then let go of your handle. Be careful you do not over tighten this or you'll crack your cover. Just have them snugged up. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start this up. I'm going to run it at low speed. I want to make sure it doesn't run the auger when we start it, and then I'm going to show you that it is operating as it should. Okay, it shouldn't be running right now. Now it's running. As soon as you let off the handle, and the tension is real good. You got about 3 inches of tension while it's running. Let go of it, it should stop. And it does. The auger. Yeah, so we're back up and operating. Now I highly recommend using silicone spray in here and in around your augers. That'll help the snow from sticking. That's an awesome thing to use every time. You must apply every time, but for a simple silicone spray, it really helps it put it inside the augers, and also spray it up in here and down inside the throat here. That'll help the snow from sticking. So let's go ahead and I'll show you the tools that we use today. Okay, so the tools that I used in this project, my 1/4 inch electric ratchet that I always use, 1/4 inch ratchet, whatever you can get onto a 7/16. The 7/16 is what I used for the nuts and bolts that were standard after I repaired the strip threads. 3/8 or 10 millimeter is what you're going to take most of the hardware out with. A hand clamp, 9/16 wrench, and 3/4 inch wrench. The belt is here. This is the old one. This is the part number, and I'll put the model number up on the screen of the machine just in case your model is close, but I absolutely would suggest looking up your part through the model number of your machine before purchasing the belt. So that pretty much wraps it up for how to install an auger belt on a 5.5 horsepower, 24 inch pass, self-propelled Craftsman snow thrower. This has the 5.5 horsepower Tecumseh engine on it. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.